Every game of pool starts with the break shot, so let's talk about the 8 ball and the 10 ball break today. First of all, what I like to do is I just try to be a bit offset from the center and hit it full in the face and trying to make the cue ball pretty much hop a bit back with some forward rotation to keep it at the center of the table. And for that, I have to just elevate my cue a tiny bit. The harder I'm hitting, the less I have to elevate, and the softer I'm hitting, the more I have to elevate. But of course, you don't want to overdo it. It's just a tiny bit of elevation. And speaking about power, what is really important and what I see way too many beginners do wrong is they're trying to put everything into the break, as much power as they can generate. And of course, this is going to make you way inaccurate at the cue ball and what's going to happen at the 1 ball, because your goal is to hit the 1 ball full in the face. So I like to use just 75% or something around that, just enough power that I still able to control the power, because it doesn't really pay off if you use 100% of your power but you can't control it. Speaking about controlling the rack, first of all, of course, the cue ball would be nice at the center of the table, and of course, it would be great if the cue ball doesn't touch any rail, but I'm also watching the wing balls. In 10 ball and in 8 ball, the wing balls are the two behind the 1 ball. So the first one is the brown 7, which should go in the best case into that side pocket, and the orange 5 ball should go into that side pocket. Let's talk about the other balls as well, just in 10 ball here. We have the 8 ball, which comes out 1 rail to here and then ends up in this area. It's the same for the 3 ball. It goes out to here and ends up in that area because we're breaking very symmetrical. Of course, if you're going further to the outside, it's going to be not that symmetrical because, of course, you're going to put energy either into that direction or if you're breaking from that side into that direction. So it's going to be a bit different. Now we have the last row of balls, which is very interesting. First of all, those two middle balls, the 9 ball and the blue 2 ball, the 9 ball just goes into the short rail, 1 rail out around this diamond, and it's the same for the blue 2 ball, 1 rail, short rail, and ends up around here at that diamond. And now these 2 balls are also very interesting because there are also some kind of wing balls. Of course, I'm not trying to make them, but this one has a great chance to come 1, 2, 3, 4 rails and then go into this corner pocket. And it's the same for the 6 ball. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4 rails very often into that side pocket. So you have a good chance to make those 2 balls if they're not colliding here, because they have a tendency when they're both coming towards here that they're eventually gonna collide. You can, by the way, watch all those balls later on when we're finally gonna break and see if they actually behave that way. Very important, we also have that 1 ball. If you're breaking it full in the face from the center, the 1 ball should come straight back, and the further you're going to the outside, let's go to the right, the further the 1 ball is gonna come to here. So this means if you're breaking from the outside, the 1 ball should travel in front of this corner pocket. If you're breaking from the other side, the 1 ball should go towards this corner pocket. But I don't really think about all of that. The only thing I want to try to do is just make those, or at least one of those 2 wing balls into the side pocket. And for that, I need to find the right spot for the cue ball. And how I'm doing that is, if I'm starting out from the center, I'm hitting the rack exactly how I'm trying to hit the rack, and the wing balls don't drop, then I need to change something, obviously, because maybe I can just offset the cue ball a bit more, or I can use a bit more power if I'm not already at maximum controllable power, or a bit less power. This is important. But we are just gonna break from here. So really, really important. What I see also way too many beginners do wrong. Let's pretend the rack is about to start and they're doing something like that. Did you already see the mistake? Let's do it again. So rack is about to start. They put the cue ball here and they go already down like this. Did you see that? There is almost or basically no pre-shot routine whatsoever. And so many amateurs are doing exactly that wrong. But the problem is, just imagine you would play a money ball in a real match. Would you also think you would just go down and shoot? Well, obviously you wouldn't, and no pro player is gonna do that. They're taking so much time on the break shot because they know how important that is, because the break shot will decide if you're making balls, if you're perhaps gonna scratch, or if you have a few on the lowest number ball. So you definitely need to take your time on the break shot. It's so important, and it just takes like 10, 15 seconds, and it will make a complete difference if you're hitting that break well or not so well, depending on how much time you're taking. Okay, let's finally start to break and see what's about to happen in this rack. By the way, I completely forgot to tell you where you have to aim on the cue ball. Well, we need a bit of forward rotation because the cue ball bounces back. The harder you're hitting, the further the cue ball bounces back and the more follow we need. Okay, let's have a look what's about to happen. Wow, that was a perfect break. Did you see the cue ball, how it stopped at the center? We made both wing balls. So this was absolutely perfect. And the break pretty much opened like in a textbook because that 3 ball and the 8 ball opened exactly how we predicted. The 2 and the 9 ball were coming down to this diamond. I think the 9 ball and the 1 ball got a kiss, but it turned out perfectly. And even the 4 ball and the 6 ball are in the perfect symmetrical spot, even though I think they got a kick down here. So it can't be any better. And if you noticed, when I was playing that break shot, I stood up just a tiny bit. And of course, this depends a bit on your own fundamentals, how well they are developed and how well you're feeling with actually standing up. The reason why I'm doing that is very simple. If you just watch, let's take the cue ball once again. If you just watch how much I can follow through the cue ball when I'm not moving, it's basically like here. Even when I'm dropping my shoulder, I can't follow any further. Now, on the other hand, if I'm standing up, you can see all of a sudden I can follow much further through and I don't have to jump up all the way like Jeffrey de Luna, for example, is doing that. Now just a tiny bit of standing up helps you to just generate a bit more power. But in the end, it's personal preference, to be honest. One thing that is also personal preference is, do you want to use the open bridge to break or do you want to use the closed bridge to break? Well, it depends once again. If you want to break super hard, really hard, I would rather prefer the closed bridge because your cue doesn't go all the way in the air. You're pretty much helping your cue to travel nicely along the line compared to letting the cue jump all the way up. This is one thing. And also the bridge distance is personal preference. I, however, would not recommend to go super close to the cue ball because here you just can't generate all that power compared to having a longer bridge where you actually have time to accelerate the cue through the cue ball. First, don't be too far away because this will become very unstable in the front. This is not what you want to do. One more thing is, the closer you're getting, you can see the more your elevation will take effect compared to being further away. You will automatically not be elevated too much. So in the end, I would just say it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of having a controlled break where you don't do too much so that you're still able to hit the center of the 1 ball, and then just watch what the wing balls are doing and adjust accordingly by changing the speed or moving the cue to the left or to the right. That's pretty much it.